everybody, welcome back into Great Lakes Bonsai. We're here with our spring update series, video number 2 of who knows how many. I think we'll end up with 3, but we'll have to see. Sneak preview, Northern Red Oak right here, looking great. After a 92-degree day here in Grand Rapids, we had back-to-back days of over 85 degrees, and you see these buds just absolutely explode, especially on the oaks, which start a little bit late. These really remarkable red shoots here in the middle are about 7-8 inches long, and they went from just showing up as swollen buds to this length, 8 inches or so, in just 2 days. We've been showing you a lot of spring work on our trees, and I think I mentioned there were well over 40 trees repotted from seedling size to our larger trees this year. And so this is another recap of some of the work that we did that I recorded, of course, back in April in the garage when buds were just starting to swell. But first up is the Amur Maple that we bought at the Bonsai show last year, and then we're trying to make some branch selection on. You'll see a traumatic trunk chop, so that'll be interesting for you. All the action you want here on Great Lakes Bonsai. This is a maple native to Russia/Siberia, so it does well over winter. We didn't have to give it much protection, and it survived here in 6A, and it's now pushing buds. To an extent, they're starting to swell, so a good time to start working on this tree. We got this tree at the Meyer Gardens Bonsai Show, the All-State Show, back in April of 2019, so we're coming up on a year of owning it. And the first year we really just observed and tried to understand the health of this tree. And what I'm seeing so far is roots that are not losing percolation, the pot. So what I mean by that is that when I water the tree, I hit this soil and it just really runs right through, which indicates to us, again, using our best judgment, that the root system isn't terribly dense. And therefore, it's not really time to do a repot on this tree. It is wired in pretty well, so the previous owners secured it tightly, which means I can do some sawing. Probably a front somewhere in this area. When it comes to pruning, though, as I mentioned, this apex here is just so straight. Up here, we've got just straight taper, straight up. So I'm probably going to take this and cut it in the spring right here and try and develop a new trunk. Okay, so to do some of this work, we need tools, of course. So I've got a handy-dandy saw here that folds. And this is something that I use for heavy pruning. It's a very fine-tooth saw. I'm not sure how well you can tell from the camera there, but it's got very sharp and small teeth, and the blade itself is also very, very thin. And that does a good job of removing large limbs. So that's what we're going to use for this work today. We're going to try and remove that apex right now. So a little bit nervous, of course, but we've got to make decisions, and this is one of them that we've decided to do. Alright, here's what we just took off. We did it on a little bit of an angle, shooting up this way, in hopes that we'll get buds to pop over here on this side. This area, there's still a lot of deadwood. You can see as I'm just toying at it with the chopstick that pieces are coming off. And even this is dead bark, so I think we're going to have to clean that area up a little bit and hope that this actually pops some buds. Okay, so this Amur Maple just went under the knife to a great extent. So I'm going to try and style this as essentially a thunderstorm tree is what I would call it. That's kind of the style I'm going to be going for now, and we're going to use this trauma as a feature of the tree. But you see, I did have to dig in quite a bit to this, and that's as a result of, again, that rot that continued all the way up this vein and up into that apex. So you see the cut paste here. This is the section that is still living that I had chopped through. And so as a result, we're going to hope that on this side over here, we end up having buds that pop up near the top of that cut site. And we will then use one of those buds, an extension, to wire into a new apex, a new trunk. And we've selected kind of a style and a path going forward. So I'll give it a spin or two. Another spring project here. It is a northern red oak. This is a tree that's near and dear to my heart. I collected it off of my grandparents' property. It's a commercial property, like a strip mall almost, and it's got a small couple of acres of forest out back. So I went digging around there, hoping to find something cool, and I had marked out a couple of smaller trees, and then when I came back to actually harvest them out of the ground, I literally stumbled upon this thing. It's got a huge deadwood feature, which isn't great for deciduous, and that's what we're going to work on today. But it does have a massive base on it. It's got some new shoots that are shooting up. You can see the texture looks different, not as gnarled like the main part of this trunk. And this one's near and dear to my heart, of course, because it's from my grandparents' property, but also my grandpa has passed away, but this deadwood was more than likely created by him via a brush hog that he used to take along the edge of the property to cut back the forest. But I've shown this before. You saw that it grew really well last year. It was collected last April. I don't want to mess with the roots right now. It had pretty good fine roots when it was collected. We want to always keep in mind how the tree's doing and not repot according to a schedule, but generally 2 years is good. So we're going to keep it in the same pot. This is a wash basin, by the way, that you can get on Amazon for like 10 bucks. So it allows for that root base to expand, but yet still stay shallow so that it's trained into the future going into a bonsai pot. I love it. I love what it could become. It's got funky movement off to your left if you're looking here for a front. And then as we turn the tree around here, you see that this would be another potential front over to the right movement initially. And you see I've got plenty of new shoots coming up, and this tree, being an oak, is basically the last one other than my beech to bud out. And it's just starting to swell buds. So it's a good time to do any work if we are going to do work on this tree. All right, well, sometimes you have to sleep on it. I actually posted a follow-up post on Bonsai.net to my collection video I have out there, and asked for advice, specifically on the deadwood. Right? I knew that I was going to wire all these different shoots that are coming off of the tree to create some interest, to start and build potential trunk line and branch ramification long term. But I just couldn't decide on that deadwood piece, right? It's a lot of character for the tree, but I also know that deciduous don't feature deadwood often. So threw it out there for some advice from folks on the forum, and both of the responses that came back from folks, including Leo, whose opinion I value very, very much, said, you know what, you can always cut it off later. If anything, you can reduce it over time as well. You don't have to eliminate it entirely. The tissue development that I'm looking for, to try and close some of this off or re-encourage some tissue growth around where that deadwood is, will occur regardless of whether I remove it. So they kind of said for right now, just hold off, keep it. It does add character to the tree, and wire up those other shoots. So I did complete that second part I mentioned, which is wiring up the other shoots. You can see here, we've added hopefully a lot of interest to the tree. We're going to see how these shoots do this year, and then we'll eventually select, probably next spring, a leader and encourage it to develop the main trunk line. So anyway, that's the story for this northern red oak. I'm pretty pleased with it overall. We're going to just hope that this baby continues to grow well. We're not going to mess with the roots, as I mentioned, but that's another update here for you on Great Lakes Bonsai.